welcome to my latest experiment. This is the big one, the one I've been waiting for all my life.
What is it?
Try to imagine all life as you know it stopping instantaneously and every molecule in your body exploding at the speed of light.
Oh my God.
The cream will rise to the top, oh yeah.
And I am the voice of the voiceless.
And there is no one that does it better.
The Guy and Harley podcast, streaming all over your face.
Perhaps that was the most important part.
Can you dig it? Can you dig it? Can you dig it?
Pigville on the internet. Lie on the bed on your left side. Draw your knees up. Remove the top off the micro-lax enema. Insert the nozzle of the enema fully into the back passage, brackets, rectum. Squeeze the contents of the enema into the rectum. Hold on for as long as possible. You should have the urge to empty your bowels within 10 to 30 minutes. I'm Harley Neville. Welcome along to the Guy and Harley podcast.
And I'm Guy Pigden. And which great singer-songwriter wrote that one?
That was written by the Auckland new rap group called the Auckland District Health Board. Because I have an update about the Butt Chronicles. This is for Shani. Shani's a big fan of the Butt Chronicles.
Yep.
I have got my appointment. I've got an appointment on the 22nd of March, and for some reason, they sent me an enema kit as well. Now, I've got hairy buttitis, a pilonidal sinus that needs operating on. I've been trying to get an appointment for quite a while. Finally got one. 22nd of March. Now, I don't actually know if that's... I think that's actually just a consultation. I don't think it's the actual appointment, but they need to look at my butt. Now, did you have to go, when you went and had your surgery, did you have to have an enema before you went?
No.
No, I didn't think so. I think they've misinterpreted what the issue is here, and they're actually going deep. They're going for a penetration thing, and they're going to test me, stick the finger up there and all that stuff, instead of doing a sort of a superficial skin only operation. I think they're going to be having a poke around up there, but I'm going to let them. I'm all for it,
I feel like you should probably course correct them on this one before they remove a portion of your lower intestine by accident because they think that's what you're in there for.
Well,
this seems like a classic hospital cock-up to me.
Yeah? Well,
yeah.
The thing is, I think it's an appointment, it's not a surgery. So that's the thing. I'm there to talk to about it, but the doctor is going to do a rectal examination as well. And look, I'm all for it. Exactly. I don't see why not. And you will recall last time I went to the doctor, I said, "Hey doc, check my prostate."
And he was like,
"Finger my fucking ass, old man."
And he was like, "No, we're sorry, you're not qualified for that."
Exactly. And so now this time I'm getting an enema and a bloody rectal exam, all part of the package.
So you're very happy about that.
So life's good, is what I'm saying.
He's very stoked on that one.
So we've got a lot going on in our lives at the moment. It's pretty busy.
Yeah, too busy.
Too busy. Everyone's too busy. I'm as we record, I'm waiting to be picked up to road trip to Tongariro to shoot another day on a feature film, which is going to remain nameless because we're going to talk about that feature film. And so, yeah,
it's pretty hilarious.
I'm just about to be picked up. Literally any minute she could arrive. So if this podcast gets cut short, that's why. You'll understand. So yes. Anyway, what's been going on with you?
Well, no, let's just talk about this role for a second.
Okay.
Because the hilarity of the situation is pretty funny. Because this is a classic actor thing. This happens to actors, honestly, like, you give them the main role in a film, and they'll do this, which is they'll skim the script. They won't really read the script. They'll read their parts. I was talking to Simon Ward about this. He didn't even read all of I Survived a Zombie Holocaust. He just read his bits.
Yeah.
To begin with.
Yeah.
And then by the time he was actually down in there, he was like, I guess I should probably read all of this and know what the fuck this film is about.
Yeah.
But it's the classic thing because reading is hard. Reading scripts is harder than normal reading. Reading scripts is more boring than normal reading because you're basically reading sort of directions and little asides, and really, obviously, your primary concern is the dialogue. Yeah. But what's my next line? Who cares all about that shit? What am I actually saying here? And so the reading between the lines.
Well, not just that, but it is quite a commitment to read a whole script. It can be, and if like perhaps you don't even know if it's going to be good, and you've got to prepare yourself to commit to reading potentially a bad script, and then probably saying yes anyway because you're a hungry actor.
Yeah.
So if the answer is yes either way, it's
so that's
kind of like,
whatever. That's what you did.
No. So what happened with me was I looked at the script, I looked at all the support materials that have been sent to me, and everything seemed all very professional and looked like they were sort of handling everything well. And I know some of the other people associated with it, and I was like, okay, well, those people are industry professionals, and so, they're ticking all the right boxes. I just haven't read the whole script. So I said yes to the role based on their professionalism and the look of what I had read of the script, which was good. And so I read the first...
The 2 pages of your part that you had read. No.
I read like the first 20-something pages, and I was like, yeah, cool. Looks good. Looks good to me. and then so yeah, basically I agreed to a role. And then I had to road trip to Port Waikato to shoot my first day, because both days on this film are outside of Auckland. Port Waikato is like an hour and a bit drive, and Tongariro is like a 4.5 hour road trip. And so I got down to Port Waikato, got on set. I knew the scenes we were doing that day, and it was fine. And then somebody sort of mentioned something about the other scenes later in the film, and I was like, yeah, those other scenes, that's true. And then
yeah, looking forward to those.
Looking forward to that. That's gonna be cool. And then so I hastily ran back
immediately excused yourself,
ran back to my bag where I had my iPad in it. And frantically scrolled past all the porno pictures I'd been looking at, closed down that window, and then went to the script and scrolled through and found the scenes. So basically, I've been cast in a film, I didn't read the script properly, and I am playing a gay rapist who molests people who I have authority over. Didn't read the script. Now I'm a gay rapist.
Didn't read the script properly. Found out as
On
you were
set.
filming that you were a gay molesting rapist, which you didn't know as you were doing the first scenes.
No. So that's good. That's classic Harley.
Yeah.
Classic Harley thing to happen.
Yeah.
I don't actually mind though. In all seriousness, it is quite a good role, and it's quite nice to have something kind of serious and gritty on my show reel.
Yeah.
Assuming, of course, that I do a good job.
Also, but it was funny that last time, I was like, pedo or something like that.
Yeah.
You're like, no,
Yeah.
no.
I was like, I've been cast in a web series. You're playing the part of a pedo or something? No, guy, that's not usually my genre.
No, guy.
Thank you.
Gay molesting rapist. Thank you very much. Big difference.
Well, there is.
Well, it's true. There is a big difference.
I would sooner play, I guess, if I had to be known as one or the other as a performer, I would choose gay rapist over pedophile.
Well, I really feel like this is going to be your opening up to basically you can be the Kevin Bacon of New Zealand.
Yeah.
Where he just plays sickeningly disgusting characters very well for like 30 years. But
Yeah.
like he's played 2 pedos.
Yeah.
he may have the distinction of being the only like mainstream Hollywood actor that's played 2 different pedo roles.
Yeah. I have played a pedo in the past.
Let's not
just for the record. I played a pedo in a 48-hour film.
So you only need one more,
Yeah,
and you'll be on
on a
par
par.
with Kevin Bacon.
Yeah.
That'll be your 6 degrees, 1 degree of separation from Kevin Bacon, being that you both played pedos twice.
Yeah.
Yep, I thought that was pretty funny. I guess we should talk about my acting adventures as well.
Okay.
Oh, good for you. And how was it? I hope it was fucking good, because it's useless now, isn't it? Fuck's sake, man, you're amateur.
Now, before the last episode, or after the last episode, I was saying that I was headed to Tropfest for Fishman 3.
The casting tape.
The casting tape, where I am the lead actor. And I went to Tropfest, and it was quite an eye-opening experience.
Yeah?
very eye-opening. Didn't really know what to expect, obviously. I've never been to a Tropfest before.
Hence your negative attitude going into it.
And my disparaging sort of sensibility towards it. Came out the other side with a whole new disparaging sensibility. But like on the one hand, it was very cool. Basically they have it. Also, there's not much going on in New Plymouth, man. I mean, there really is not much going on there.
Well, I bet. Small town New Zealand.
It's a long. I mean, it was a long 4 and a bit hour drive for 7 minutes. I will say that. But on the other hand, it was at this really cool venue, which is basically this park where they have this theatre stage bit surrounded by a little lake.
I actually shared one of these images on the Facebook page, facebook.com/Guy and Harley. So go there and scroll down. You can see what he's talking about.
And the park itself is on a hill, so it's kind of like the stage of a theatre. So the venue itself was really quite... I was quite... my breath was taken away by it. There's swans swimming in the lake. I was like, wow, this is pretty cool. And there was a good turnout, like, a couple thousand people, which is a lot of people to go see. If you think about most film festivals, there's not a couple thousand people going to see everything. I mean, the cinema can only fill like 100, 200 people tops, and that's for the top films. And whereas this is like 2,000 people all turning up to this event, which is pretty cool. And I was really proud of our film. I had not seen it beforehand. I had requested a secret screener from Ben, from Alan actually. Alan had duly disregarded that request and completely ignored it in a message.
He's a wild man. He's a wild man. He's a wild card. You never know what he's going to do. Alan George from Sideways Productions.
He had, as if I had never said anything, and I did not want to press the issue. So I saw it, and it was genuinely the first thing that I'd acted in that wasn't one of our own projects that I was like happy that I was in. That I was like, I'm glad I did this. I'm really glad I did this, because most of the time when you do a low budget thing for someone else, you sit down, you start watching, and this overwhelming sense of disappointment and shame,
despair,
begins to well up in the pit of your stomach. And as you keep watching, this feeling gets worse and worse until you reach the end when, there's many things going through your head. Primarily...
relief. Relief that it's finished.
But also primarily, oh, fuck, I just wasted all that time doing that. And I look like a fucking moron. They made me look like a moron. But we all look like morons. And I don't like any of, and now how am I going to apply my acting skills with a smile and a grin, a shit-eating grin, and say, hey, bloody good job, mate. I love that little bit there. I'm just going to single out a tiny bit that was remotely, marginally not as shit as everything else, which was the complete drizzling shits. And single that out and give him a pat on, or him or her a pat on the back, and say, bloody good job, bloody good job. God. And that's basically how...
So there you go. Everybody who's ever cast Guy before Fishman 3...
Well, there's not that many people.
Everybody who's ever cast Guy, that is what Guy thinks about your productions.
Well, I think I'm pretty safe, actually, because there's
because most of them are like shitty student films.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
I'm not too worried. But yeah, so very, very proud of it. The boys did great. Got a good response. It was very funny. And, all in all, went down pretty well. Now, I will say that the quality of the films did not seem very high.
Right.
Barring R1, which I thought was one of the best and one of the most well conceived, well written, well acted, and well made. A lot of dubious stuff going on in those Tropfest films.
Yeah.
A lot of studenty stuff. And it was a lot of, it was one issue or another. Like, was it the acting? Maybe. Was it the story? Maybe. Was it that everything looked, and some ones, they looked great, but they were just like not, everything else was bad. It was like, man, you spent so much time doing all these amazing things and, turning water into wine on a production design level, you know, like having these amazing costumes and having these amazing sets and having it look like beautiful, like look like a beautiful film. And yet then, you know, the first, you know, word that comes out of someone's mouth and you go, oh boy, oh Jesus Christ, this sucks. And that was like, there was a lot of that. There was a lot of bad films. Now, they weren't all bad. You know, the one that won, The Anniversary, which you can watch online. You can watch all of these online now, and you can agree or disagree with me.
So you just look up Tropfest 2017 New Zealand, I
believe
guess.
so, yeah. But like The Anniversary was, which ultimately won sort of everything, was very well made, looked beautiful, great acting, great like sort of concept, you know, very well done. They incorporated, you had to have like a flame as part of the thing. Like, you know how you have to have something in it that means this was made for Tropfest.
Yeah.
This was flames or a reference to fire. So they had that. And, but they weaved it in so perfectly that you're like, man, this is great. It's great stuff. So, you know, and there were a couple like that were just very well done as well, but they were in the minority. And also they screened a bunch of Australian films at the end of the Australian finalists, like the 3 top Australian ones. And unfortunately to say, they shat all over the New Zealand films. Yeah. Absolutely destroyed them. Like it was like apples and oranges. If oranges were 1,000,000 times better than the apples. And so it was like, I don't know if you should even show these because the disparity between the two, the quality of the filmmaking.
People something to aspire to, though, as well.
Well, doesn't it show people slit your wrists too?
No, because it shows people like, okay, cool, this is the level you're at, and this is the level that people
that you fucking should be, you fuckers.
So next year, you know, it'll be, you know, people will be taking on those.
So
lessons.
Throw yourself off a bridge because you're never getting to this level.
No.
If you've seen these two, if you watch yours side by side with this, throw yourself off a bridge. You're never getting there, mate.
That's the attitude, eh? That's the spirit.
Well, that's the spirit if you watch these, I'm telling you. So anyway, but all in all, and I guess the other shocking thing about Tropfest to me was the prizes. The prizes.
$10,000 for the lead one, right? For the winning one, right?
Not just $10,000, mate. $10,000 plus a 5-day trip to LA. You know, like travel and accommodation paid for. To have meetings and workshop with these big, you know, LA producers types. Yeah. You know, it's fucking real deal shit right here. Yeah. And like, you know, even like best actor, it's like $2,500. Well, thank you very much. I guess I'll take that.
Yeah, well...
I did not win, by the way.
Well, speaking of you not winning, at least you got a role. Got an audition. I didn't even get an audition. Best actor nominee, Harley Neville. I didn't even get an audition. And listen, I watched the movie.
I know.
And it was very good. I really liked it. Fishman 3, I really liked it. But there was any number of roles in there that I could have played.
I disagreed.
I did not even get an audition.
I was like, well,
just an audition. I'm not asking for the role. An audition to be the guy who comes on and delivers 1 or 2 lines.
I was like, hang on though, what role would you really done? When we broke it down, there wasn't actually that many that you could have been. By the exception of my character.
Well, you wouldn't know. You wouldn't know without auditioning me. Thank you.
Yeah, but like you can't play a big, muscly guy. And you can't play a woman Harley.
That's fine. That's fine. But I'm still saying there was like a few roles there that I was suitable for that I could have auditioned for. That's all I'm saying. Just an audition. Best actor nominee, Harley Neville.
Well, I'm pretty sure earlier you were just saying best actor Harley Neville and you'd cut out nominee at a certain point.
No, it's always been nominee. Go back and listen. I don't claim above my station, you know.
I think you're walking
best
around the other night yelling, best actor Harley Neville.
I don't think so. Unless I was drunk.
But yeah, so that was interesting. But you know, like that's the thing about most film festivals. The grand prize isn't $10,000.
No.
And also,
well, we won best short film. The grand prize was nothing.
And the grand prize was nothing.
The grand prize was literally nothing.
It was literally
we didn't even get a trophy.
And that's the other thing about like we
weren't there though. To be fair,
they also had like an award which was $10,000 worth of shooting at Avalon Studios with all their resources.
Yeah.
Another handy prize.
It is a handy
this
prize.
was separate to the main fucking prize. You know, $2,500, $500 here, $500 there, $2,500 there. It was like actually mental. Like they're giving away like $40,000 worth of prizes for these student short films.
Yeah. Well, clearly, mate.
Not all of them were student short films. I will say, like I said, there were some good ones.
Yeah, well, clearly we've got to enter next year.
Maybe.
Take the prize, fucking put out, let's put your money where your mouth is.
Oh, I'm not putting my money where... But that's the thing, is like, I don't want to make a 7-minute film with a flame in it. I want to make a good film, which is however long it might be, with no flames in it, unless a flame is required.
Well, that's fine. That's fine.
It's also a bit
you're
of a...
not going to get the $10,000
Well,
prize.
that's the thing.
You know?
It's a fucking crapshoot anyway. Like, you couldn't necessarily say that, like, oh, we came here and we're definitely going to win. I guess you do have a good... I guess you got, like, almost maybe a 40 or 30% chance of winning something. But also, you know, something that we make is definitely probably not likely to win, just considering the tone of our things. Just, you know, speculating.
Oh, if you say so. Now,
but it was a good experience overall. It was eye opening. The reason they're going broke is because they're giving away too much money as prizes.
yeah.
Yeah, you gotta come up with 40 fucking K off the top of your fucking dome. That's like the budget of an entire festival right there. I mean, obviously they've got sponsorship, so they're probably not paying anything. But still, pretty alarming. It was all pretty alarming to me. It was pretty shocking. But a good experience. I'm glad I made the drive. Thank you very much to Ben and Alan for giving me the opportunity to work at my craft. And you know, you probably made the right choice leaving Harley out because there wasn't any good roles for him apart from mine.
Now, speaking of Alan George and thanking him, you and I have both been acting lately for a show on Maori TV. Yeah. Thanks to Alan George putting us forward for that.
Yeah, so I don't know why you're complaining about.
Well, no,
the
but
Tropfest.
you know, like I was complaining at the time.
He
about
threw you a
Tropfest.
bone.
Now he's throwing me a bone. I'm willing to forgive him and move on.
From earlier in this podcast.
From 5 minutes ago. Now, Alan George, he got us both roles on a show on Maori TV, and multiple roles as well, because it's not just playing one character; it's playing multiple characters.
Yeah,
it's been pretty fucking awesome, pretty good opportunity, and this is going on TV, so it's quite an achievement. Mostly we're not on TV.
Mostly we
don't get onto public TV.
Not on the television is where we generally.
If you're looking for us, don't look on the television.
Don't look on the TV.
As a general rule,
you won't see us there.
And so anyway, we've both been in it. Now, Guy, I had probably 5 or 6 roles, but I've only done 2 so far.
Yeah,
and I had a role as a disgusting cleaner, disgusting, schlubby, bald, hairy, dirty cleaner.
May or may not be a pedo. We don't know because we don't go into his backstory. But he could have been
plausible. And so I had this role, and I was told it was mine. I had run my lines. I had printed off the script. You know, it was on my list of shit that I had upcoming. And then I was talking to a guy, and he goes, "Yeah, I'm filming tomorrow." And I was like, "Oh, yeah, cool. What are you filming?" And he goes, "I'm the dirty cleaner." I heard nothing about it. This is news to me, and so. Quite devastated because you're acting across from Siobhan Ruakiri.
I wasn't actually.
Oh, she wasn't there?
No, they replaced her with recast her.
Oh, thank God. Because, I saw her on the street one time and I felt special. And here you were going to be acting across from her.
Yeah.
And so,
I was the object of her affection in the skit.
Exactly. And so, she's a New Zealand celebrity. She's been around for a while. Very beautiful woman. And I was excited to have a scene with her on my show reel. But I didn't get it. Now, the character was this schlubby, dirty, disgusting cleaner, right? And so it made sense that they cast me. I think the character description said about 40 years old. And which incidentally, my previous role on the Apple ad, which I will tell you about soon, that was also 35 to 40 years old. Yeah. I think the character description was. Now, anyway... So it's this disgusting cleaner. He's disgusting, disgusting, disgusting. I had the role. They removed me and they put Guy in. So essentially they went for the tall, dark and handsome look for the cleaner.
Yeah.
And effectively, Guy has hot nerd girl with glasses me, if you were to put it in the film speak.
All right, I get you.
He's hot nerd girl with glasses me in film speak.
Yeah.
They were like, let's just take an attractive guy, a tall, dark, and handsome dude, and just tell the audience that he's disgusting.
Yeah.
We'll just tell him. We'll put him in a singlet. We'll put him in a singlet. He'll be disgusting. That's basically what happened.
Well, they did mess up my hair and like I do have a grubby beard at the moment as well.
Well, I've permanently got a grubby beard.
Yeah.
Like, the beard's not, like, beards aren't necessarily always disgusting.
Yeah.
So yes. But how did your shoot go?
Oh, well, it was quite interesting because this is why I don't like acting.
Don't tell Ellen that. Ellen's listening.
It's got nothing to do with Alan specifically.
No, but I mean, like, here's the guy vouching for you to get roles, and and you're like, I fucking hate acting.
Well, let me rephrase that. I don't like the acting process. Because I knew this, I had a feeling this was going to happen. But basically what happened is, I'm the last person on in the scene. So I just come in at the end, and there's a little tag with me, and then I go off. And I was like, well, guess what gets shot last? Generally speaking, unless there's some weird thing, probably it's going to be me. Maybe they'll do a master with me in the beginning, and then I'll get my close-ups at the end. But realistically, yeah, I'll be the last thing they shoot that day. Now, I was scheduled, they were like, oh, yeah, so you're available between 2:30 and 6:30. And I was like, yeah, although be nice if I could shoot off a little bit earlier. And they're like, oh, yeah, we should be able to accommodate that. No worries. But I did say to my work, hey, I may be late, just FYI. Just FYI, the person that's working 12 hours will have to work 13 or 14 because I'm sitting on a couch scoffing lollies before my close-up.
Hitting on the extras. And so anyway, then they sort of emailed me the day before, and they're like, yeah, so call time 12:30. And I was like, ooh, did have some plans with the old girlfriend. Had scheduled that Sunday afternoon with my girlfriend, and sort of a bit last minute. But I was like, oh yeah, no worries. But I sort of called them up. I was like, I noticed that my call time here is 12:30, but it was originally 2:30. Do you guys think you really need me at 12:30? They're like, yeah, it'd be good if you could come in at 12:30, just get all ducks in a row. And I was like, sure thing. So I got there, sat around for a good hour. I rushed there as well. I was very hungry, but I was like, obviously got to make call time. So I won't have my classic coffee and donut and bagel from across the road. Mm-hmm. Won't do that. Just zoom off to the place, arrive 15 minutes early. Sat around for a good hour and a bit, and then they're like, yeah, we're going to break for lunch soon, because they were shooting another skit. They went on to my skit, and I was like, hey, cool. And then sort of lunchtime rolled around. I got a little bit of makeup put on. And I was like, cool. Alan come in, had it said hello to Alan. He was like, hey, what are you doing here? You're meant to be Harley. Well, I thought Harley was playing that role.
No, he's like, what are you doing here so early? Because, we're not getting to this stuff for a while. It's because we're going after lunch. This scene is after lunch. This is lunch now, after lunch, plus you're at the end of it. And I was like, yeah, I did ask if I could come in a bit later, but nah. So anyway, sat around. The wrap time was 6:45. I sat around from 12:30 till approximately 6:15. Came in for about 10 minutes, did my lines, and finished a bit late, and then went to work a bit late, and semi got in trouble, and that's the actor's life right there.
It is.
That is the classic actor's life.
It is part of the job description.
It is absolutely. Look.
Like that it happens to me all the time.
Which is why I don't really like just acting.
Which is why when I'm producing as well, I always try and think of like if we can stagger the arrival times for the actors. Because it's like, okay, look, if the crew's arriving at X time, then the cast don't need to be there. at that time.
But a lot of times I say no to that.
Yeah, oftentimes guy says, no, make them sit around.
Well, no, because I want to get them going through the makeup.
I just want to get all my ducks in a row.
I want to get all my ducks in a row. I want to get the makeup going 5 hours before they're ready, of course. But yeah, this is why I don't like the acting process as much as when I'm acting and directing, because when I'm acting and directing, I'm always thinking of something. So if I'm not on screen, who gives a shit? Because I've got a million things to think about. I'm doing all this other stuff. And while that can be difficult and challenging to swap your brain over, it means that you're just fully engaged for an entire shoot. Whereas when you're just acting, you're waiting for that 1 minute of glory, that 1 minute of magic. And also, like, I find that, like, I normally come in, I'm all G'd up, I'm all ready, I'm remembering my lines, blah, blah, blah. Obviously, as the day wears on,
you might even be nervous, and that prolonging the beginning of it is like really kind of sucks as well, because you're nervous about your role. Are you going to fuck it up?
Yep.
Do you know your lines? And then you've got to sit there and agonize about it for 4 more hours.
Yeah, and like, you kind of, as you go on, so then you stop rehearsing your lines, then you kind of relax, and then you sit down, and then you have a little nap, and then you noodle about on your phone, and suddenly you've forgotten your lines, and you forgot what you were planning to do because you've been waiting so long that it's kind of all slipped away from you, and then you kind of have to quickly grasp it all back into your mind, just like as like 1 minute, they're like, all right, we're ready to go. Hurry the fuck up, because we're about to finish. We're about to wrap for the day. So hurry the fuck up.
Well, I don't want to come across as a prima donna, but I do have a bit of a peeve on set while we're talking about it, which is when sometimes they'll move the actor. You're doing a scene with somebody, right? Now, I'm not talking about a specific set or anything like that I've been on. I'm just talking about this has happened on multiple sets. You're acting across from a person, and maybe they get the other person's coverage, and you're sitting there directly in their eye line doing their lines for them.
Well, we should explain what coverage is, probably.
Well, so coverage is the shot of the other actor, but you do the whole scene, but it might be it's a MCU, a medium close-up of the other actor. You're capturing their performance, but meanwhile, I'm still there.
But you're not being filmed.
Acting across from them. I'm not being filmed, but I'm giving them the performance so that they do a good performance. Yeah. And, good actors will do that for one another, is you'll do a good performance even when you're not on camera, the idea being to help the other person do a good performance.
You're all in this together, kids.
Exactly. And so oftentimes, it might happen that they'll do the other person's coverage, then it's time for your coverage, and it's like, okay, cool, sweet. And then they're like, cool, so just get the other actor out of the way, because the lighting doesn't work with them there, and we want to get this angle on the camera. So just, Harley, you just deliver your lines to this doorknob. That doorknob will be pretty good to act across from, eh? And don't worry, we'll get the other actor to read the lines off camera, off away to your left, out of your eye line, and they'll read their lines. But you just you stare intently and lovingly at that doorknob.
Or sometimes even worse, which we've done on our films, is like, just if you could look at the word Canon on the camera. Just like, it's not right next to the camera, it's just beside the camera, that Canon. If you could just keep your eyes focused on that, please.
Yeah,
just read that over and over again as you recite your lines. Hope that's not going to affect your performance in any negative way.
Which is the problem. Now, I understand that sometimes, we're all in this together, right? And everybody's got a job to do, and so sometimes the camera needs to be where the camera needs to be.
And filmmaking is very technical.
Exactly.
That's what people don't really realize. They think you look at performances on screen and you go, oh, like, it's so amazing that they all did all that all at once, and it's like, they did that 30 times in different ways, and a lot of the times he was looking at a doorknob. One time he even leant in to kiss the doorknob. You don't know that he won an Oscar for that.
Yeah.
So anyway.
Yeah, so where'd I get to?
The camera's got to be where the camera's got to be.
The camera's got to be where the camera's got to be, right? And we're all in this together, and we're all creating art, and so it's part of the job description. You can't argue with it. It's part of the job description. Sometimes you've got to act across from a doorknob. You're an actor. Do some fucking acting. It's not a problem. But what bothers me is when they've made a choice between the lighting or the camera position and they've chosen the lighting or the camera position over the performance when they could have focused on the performance. And it's like, at the end of the day, we're all here to tell stories.
Yeah.
And the characters are the ones that are telling the stories. And while it's nice to have an aesthetically pleasing film, at the end of the day, for me as a viewer, the most important and compelling thing is the performance and the story that's being told. And so it doesn't matter how beautiful you make it look, if the story is not compelling, if the acting is, if you don't believe and buy the characters, well, then you're not committed to the film. Doesn't matter how beautiful it is. And there's lots of beautiful things in the world, but it doesn't mean you're going to stare at them for an hour and a half.
Yeah.
I think that it's just annoying when sometimes they sacrifice the performance for something aesthetic that could be done the other way.
I agree. And look, honestly, for me personally, while we're filming, I try to make, as a general rule, the camera as least intrusive as possible.
Yeah, like the camera's there to capture the story.
So you won't. I would very much try and avoid those. Look at the doorknob. Look at the label of the thing. Like, I'm always trying to get people looking at each other, acting opposite each other for their scenes. And if the angle looks a bit average, that's okay. I'd rather have that average looking frame than have that average looking performance, because one is really going to fuck you up and no one's going to care apart from a couple film nerds in the back screaming about 3/3 1/8 or whatever the fuck. So but it is a tricky thing. So but yeah, that was my experience. A lot of waiting around.
Well, my experience was I've done 2 days so far on Maori TV, and it was really good. The first day though, I met a guy and he was like, "Hey, Harley, we're Facebook friends," and I was like, "Cool, man, yeah, nice to meet you." And he was like, "You're a lot smaller in real life." I was like, how's that your introduction? Like, is that really your opening sentence? Like, that's like going like, you're a lot fatter in real life.
Well, it is.
You know, you're bolder in real. You know, it's
you look like bolder in real life.
You know, it's like, haha, okay. That's how your opening impression. That's the one you want to make. Hell, you're a lot smaller in real life. So, is he saying? Is it just like, you know? Is it just a straight off the bat? You are short, Harley.
Yeah.
Or is it your Facebook, due to your short man syndrome, you have inadvertently made your Facebook make you appear to be some tall, hulking man?
Yeah.
And that misled him.
When I see you in real life, you're a diminutive little person.
Yeah. So yeah, I was like, okay, mate, cool.
Cool. I'm gonna go over here now. And stare at my phone and pretend I'm busy with my phone. Well, it's all the same to you.
I was like, well, I'll just let it slide. I guess he's just a little bit socially awkward or something. Yeah. If he thinks that's a good opening sentence. But anyway, there was also on the second day. Just for the record, I did talk to that guy more, and he is a nice guy. Now, I don't actually have beef. I don't have on-set beef. Now. The second day, though, was actually like really tough acting, but I took away a lot of good lessons from it, I think. So basically, it was quite a short and reasonably simple skit, but it was all about the back and forth between two characters.
Yep.
But role just tagged on the end, but they had to go. So we had to shoot their role first, which is what you should have demanded, I guess.
If I wanted to save 4 hours, sure. Well, but I'm not the kind of person that's going to make those demands on, Alan's got a lot to worry about. He's got to speed through these scenes. There's, not enough time for anything. People are unprepared, and I want to make it as easy for him as possible. So I wasn't going to start acting like a little bitch all of a sudden.
Well, on that same note, this other guy who had to go.
Who was acting like a little bitch.
Well, yeah, you said it, not me. I didn't say that. He was actually, this guy was huge, by the way. His role was to play a giant, huge man that escorts me out.
Right.
So you might want to just tone down on the little bitch stuff. Just saying. For your own health. And so...
Yeah, no, look, I'm sure he had his reasons.
I'm sure he had somewhere to be. And so I'm sure he had plans with his girlfriend and had to go to work later. And so, anyway, we had to shoot his scene first. But, of course, the end of the scene was the most, like, heightened emotional part of it as well. So he had to kind of just dive in with this bit, and then after he left, we went back to the beginning and started again, but we never just ran it like the entire thing all the way through. So it was just little bits and pieces, stopping and starting, and it was really difficult to try and reach the emotional level that I had set in that very opening scene. And that very opening sort of shot that we took was not necessarily the right emotional level, like I didn't know. I was just thrown straight in the deep end and just trying something.
Having a guess.
And it may or may not have been better. And then by the time I actually finished we shot it, I don't know that I necessarily did a consistent performance emotionally. Like, I'm saying the lines, but I don't know that I reached the same emotional places where I should have. It's all just out of order, and so it's hard to say if it's going to, like, edit together well or if I'm just going to come across as a shit actor. But the thing is...
Time will tell.
Time will tell. But what was kind of... like, it wasn't my best work, but it was fine. I do think they'll edit something funny out of it. But yeah, I guess the great lesson I took from it, though, was I was like, man, must be what Shortland Street would be like, because it's like a real high turnaround, very quick. Shortland Street is our most popular soap opera. It's on 5 nights a week at 7 p.m, and I'd love to get on it. And apparently they've got a very quick turnaround, and it's like you know when you're acting, you show up, you walk, you hit your mark, you say your line, and if you don't fuck any of that up, they buy it and move on, and it's not really about the performances, which is why oftentimes people complain about the acting on Shortland Street, not realizing the sheer amount of acting that's being done in a very short amount of time. And so anyway, I feel like it was kind of good practice for that, a good idea of thinking like, oh yeah, so this might be actually what it's like to be on Shortland Street. You've got very little time. It's not necessarily in order. Walk in, say your line, don't fuck it up, and so it was a really good experience.
And hope for the best.
And hope for the best. And it was a really good experience. And be prepared for people to call you a shit actor. But it was a very good experience. And it did help that it was set in a hospital, and I was acting across from a lady who has a recurring role on Shortland Street. So it really did feel like Shortland Street.
Well, it's quite interesting. I guess the thing for me too is like, it's one thing to know, like, hey, it's going to be 5 hours until you do your thing. Then you can kind of sit down and go, okay, sweet. I'm going to watch a couple films. I'm going to fuck around. I'm going to go get a coffee. But when it's like, hey, we don't know when we're going to need you. Could be a minute from now. Could be 5 hours from now. You're kind of on a permanent state of, like, unease and, like, tenseness because you're like, is it now? Is it now? Is it not now? Oh, no, it's not now. But Alan did say that you did very well under pressure.
Oh, that's good.
He said he doesn't know if it's your experiences on Pigville, but you responded well under pressure. So there you go.
Oh, that's good. I have been feeling very comfortable on set lately, on all sets. I just walk in and I think what it is oftentimes, not in the case of Maori TV, but oftentimes on other things I'm acting in lately, I feel like I'm acting across from people with less acting experience. And it is 17 years now that I've been acting, and it's made me realise that I was like, I feel way more comfortable than these people look.
Plus, star of feature film, I Survivors on my podcast.
Yeah, well, that was obviously a big experience that armed me. Now, look, we have to go because I've just received a text. My ride is arriving. And it's going to. Well, I'm about to head off on this delightful 4.5 hour road trip to Tongariro. So we have to go. You can support us by going facebook.com/Guy and Harley. You can search Patreon, search Pigville on Patreon. That really helps us. And you can search Pigville on YouTube and watch some of our videos, so please do that. Also, give us a 5-star rating on iTunes for this podcast because it really does help us. And I will be posting some updates about my trip down to Tongariro on the Facebook page, so really do check that out, facebook.com/Guy and Harley.
Also, we should just quickly say, open up the Who's Dead this week.
Bill, what happened? Ted? We're dead, dude. No way. Yes way.
Well, she's literally arriving now.
That's all right. I can keep talking and you can leave.
All right.
But basically...
All right, thank you very much. Good night!
On Who's Dead this week, beloved character actor Bill Paxton passed away. Who was Bill Paxton, you might ask? Bill Paxton is the guy in Aliens that says...
Game over, man!
He says that.
That's it, man. Game over, man. It's game over. What the fuck are we gonna do now? What are we gonna do? Over.
And we've many times quoted that on this podcast. We've many times quoted that in life when something fucked up has happened. And it's become like... It's probably one of the most quoted things of all time, at least within our circle of our generation. He was the Marine that kind of loses his shit in Aliens and kind of turns into a giant pussy, and Sigourney Weaver is there to try and snap him out of it. But he's amazing in it, and he's amazing in everything he does. He was in Titanic. He's in pretty much all the James Cameron films, True Lies, and he was 61 years old, died from complications of a surgery. Don't know exactly why. But Bill Paxton, for me, was one of those guys that, after seeing him in Aliens, he's also in Terminator right at the beginning. But he's someone that you just look out for. And you're just like, oh, fuck, Bill Paxton. Amazing. He was also in the TV series for a long time, Big Love. Tombstone, the film. He's done just a lot of cool stuff, and he was also probably his most successful film where he was the lead was Twister, the old tornado film. But all of that, he was certainly one of my favorite actors that I would always look out for. And, you know, it's very sad that he's passed away so young. He was just recently on the Mark Maron What the Fuck podcast talking about new projects that he was working on and making another film. And so it's sad to see him go. And I think if people don't know, one of the things I would highly recommend that you check out is Frailty, which he's in. But he also directed, and it's kind of like a sort of thriller, sort of horror, very interesting concept, and very, very well made, very, very cool, like an amazing sort of directorial debut, and kind of weird that he never directed anything else because that was so good. And he did sort of talk about wanting to direct a new project, but finding it very hard to find financing for the type of films that he was attracted to. Unfortunately, that will never happen now. But he has left this pretty amazing body of work. So I think those two top things is go back and watch Aliens because it's an amazing film. He's great in it. And then watch the film that he directed, Frailty. Catch that. And I take my hat off to you, Bill Paxton. Very sorry to see you go. I take my hat off to you, Harley Neville. Very sorry to see you go away on your trip. But anyway, this has been the Guy on Harley podcast. This is the only ever Guy on Harley podcast that I sign out of by myself. So rest in peace, Bill Paxton. Thank you very much, Alan, for the acting opportunities. And we'll see you next week.
We're on express elevator to hell. Going down.
2, 1.
Check it out. I am the ultimate badass.
Yeah.
State of the badass art. You do not want to fuck with me.
You've been listening to the Guy and Harley podcast, proudly brought to you by Pigville Productions.
Laugh it up, fuzzball.